All right, what is up, tycoons? What's up, traders? Super excited for today's video. We got to talk about Nano Dimension, ticker symbol NNDM. This is one of the most slept on AI plays out there right now. Okay, now I've been covering NNDM a lot recently, even before its earnings rally, going over the AI possibilities. And really, AI is the new bubble forming in the market right now. Now, bubbles tend to have negative annotations and negative connotation with it, right? But really, the thing about these bubbles is the bubble is going to be forming in AI because people don't know how to properly evaluate it, right? We've never had AI technology in the future or in the past, and there's no real way to evaluate exactly how it's going to, increase profits, increase productivity, and things like that in the future. So we're in the beginning stages of the AI bubble right now. And this is a company that actually has solid business and, AI behind it. Okay. So, you want to look for the real companies and not get trapped and suckered into the fake companies that are just slapping AI into the name or just trying to rebrand as an AI company. Nano Dimension has been on this wave for a while, so we're going to dive into the video, briefly go over some of their AI capabilities that they have. All right. We're also going to go over some recent news in Nano Dimension. Go ahead and give you guys that news. We're going to use today's sponsor, Simply Wall Street, as well, to go ahead and dive a little bit into the stock, cover some news from the Simply Wall Street platform, as well as take a look at some of the different things from a fundamental standpoint. All right. Again, using that sponsor, we're also going to use the trading view and go to the daily chart here. All right. And, there's a really good technical analysis that I had on Nano Dimension. We've seen a really big explosion after we came down into this key demand zone here. And we're actually doing a really good job of holding some key levels. And I really like this healthy consolidation we're getting up here. We're going to go over the potential as well as some of the risks that you need to be aware of on the daily chart. So, if you guys are ever interested, you can always email me for a one-on-one coaching session at ZachlyTrades@gmail.com. As always, the content provided on this channel is for informational and educational purposes only, and is not intended to be relied upon as legal, financial, or investment advice. So let's go ahead and start off by getting into the news. And their stock was set to snap a record win streak after reporting preliminary revenue results. Now, this was on Thursday, okay, after the 3D printer company reported preliminary second quarter revenue results. The stock had soared 34.8% amid a 7-session win streak through Wednesday, which surpassed the previous record of 6 sessions achieved 4 times since the stock went public in mid-2015. The company said second quarter revenue rose 33% from a year ago to 14.8 million. There were no analyst estimates provided by FactSet. The company is projected to report full quarterly results in mid-August. Now, Nano Dimension has been embroiled in a battle with 3D Systems Corp. This is Triple D, to buy Stratasys Limited, which is ticker symbol SSYS. But Stratasys said last week that it was sticking with its merger deal with Desktop Metal Inc., ticker symbol DM. Now, Nano Dimension stock has run up 16.9% over the past 3 months through Wednesday, while the S&P 500 had tacked on about 8.3%. So the real reason I'm going over this news here is in particular this line right here. Okay, Strata said that it was sticking with its merger deal with Desktop Metals. This was one thing that's been circulating a lot in the news when it comes to Nano Dimension. They were really trying to purchase them and get a hold of Stratasys, but unfortunately they were not able to. Now, it's in more recent news. All right. We can take a look here, and what I want to show you guys, all right, is that this chief financial officer has notified of intention to sell stock. Now, this may come off as negative, right? A lot of times there's a misconception with insider selling. All right. You have to realize that these officials and then these people that work at the company, this is essentially their payment, right? I mean, they get stock-based compensation, or they get options, and they can execute those options, hold on to the stock and sell it and things like that. So it doesn't really surprise me, and it's not a huge red flag to see insider selling. You can see here that the CFO intends to sell 385,000 shares in the next 90 days after lodging an intent to sell form on the 5th of July. So You know, maybe they had a really good 4th of July and maybe they spent a little bit too much money and they're saying, okay, well, at least I got $1 million worth of stock that I can get. So let me go ahead and put in an intent to sell. Maybe they bought $1 million worth of fireworks and just really lived it up, you know, after that really amazing earnings report. Who knows? Okay. But I just wanted to highlight that to you guys. Okay. Now, there have been no trades via on-market transactions or options from company insiders in the last 12 months. So, you know, we haven't seen really any insider selling in Nano Dimension. And with the stock raging here recently, it doesn't really surprise me to see some of the, you know, if we were to see a little bit more of some insiders selling. Remember, you know, this is largely in a way that they pay themselves, and the way that they get paid is through these shares, and they periodically will sell shares. Okay, so you just want to have a little bit of perspective whenever you see things like this, and not always take it as such a negative thing. Now, the more important catalyst, in my opinion, when it comes to insider is insider buying, right? When you see a lot of insiders buying a stock, that's a really, really big sign, in my opinion, much more than seeing insider selling. Okay. Now, if we move forward, okay, and let's dive into the AI aspect now, because I'm sure that's why a lot of you guys are here. What they have is Deep Cube. Okay, that is their AI software, and it's the deep learning AI for advanced additive manufacturing. Okay, their AAM. Now, DeepCube's pioneering inference accelerator drastically improves performance on additive manufacturing hardware with real-time error detection and correction. So DeepCube applies the same neural network training behind photo and speech recognition advancements to the manufacturing of parts. This is going to result in improved part quality because multiple sensors can spot defects too small for the human eye, and increased part yield with AI-driven decision-making corrects printing errors in real time. Now, many companies will only leverage machine learning or AI to the extent that its results are intuitive and transparent, and in some industries, explainable to external regulators. The importance of this transparency came through in our survey, with 67% of leaders track traceability of outcomes compared with only 14% of the rest. Now, this is from McKinsey and Co. All right, that quote. But when you take a look here, DeepCube is really going to help give it unrivaled data speeds. Now, DeepCube's proprietary algorithms increase the speeds of data analysis tenfold, making it the only hardware performance accelerator of its kind. Now, this is going to happen through memory usage reduction. So it overcomes the infrastructure, energy, and memory limitations of previous AI models for low cost deployment. And from data center to edge, the leap forward in software processing allows AI to take on an active role in edge device control. This is also going to help with distributed global automation, right? So AI turns machines into nodes, and DeepCube transforms 3D printers into a viable global solution for the demands of Industry 4.0. So it's production minded, and DeepCube can coordinate across multiple machines, across a lab, or across the world, and it's learning across the network. So the machines share learning inferences with each other for immediate adjustments in production flow. So, you know, throughout the world, all these machines are going to be learning together, right? And let's say something in Israel, you know, learns something, it's going to transmit that data to, you know, a machine in the US, and et cetera, right? So really amazing stuff there. If we go back to the Simply Wall Street platform, all right, we can take a look now, and they added this new feature here, which is still in the beta, but I really like this. This is their revenue and expenses breakdown, and you can see how they make money and how they spend money based on the last reported earnings, okay? And so you can see that they have printers and related here, okay? That's really where they're making a lot of their money. That resulted in $48 million of revenue. All right, 21.5 million of that gross profit, 26.63 in cost of sales. All right, and then you can see here their expenses right here. General and admin, research and development, sales and marketing, non-operating expenses, and other. So I really like this feature a lot. It's a cool new feature. Remember, they're today's sponsor. You guys can actually get a 14-day free trial. And what I want you to do is use that free trial to look up your favorite stock, right? Look up NNDM. You can also look up related stocks to NNDM, or maybe there's just a stock that you've been waiting to buy for a long time. Simply Wall Street has some really great fundamental analysis, and the first 100 people to join will get up to 40% off. Now, when you look at the shareholder returns in the past 7 days, NNDM is about 4.5%. Meanwhile, tech is down about 1.6%, and the US market is down about 1%. So it's outperformed in the last 7 days. But on a year standpoint, in the past year, Nano Dimension has underperformed both the US tech sector and the US market, over the past year. So we're going to see if there's still room for Nano Dimension to play catch up, or if there's a reason why it's been underperforming US tech industry and the US market. Now, when you look at the price volatility, it's not significantly more volatile than the rest of US stocks over the past 3 months. And its weekly volatility has been stable over the past year. So you can see on this chart here, it's actually below the industry volatility and slightly above the average market volatility. Now, their price to sales ratio right now is about 15.9x, which is a little high for the sector. All right. But this is more of a growth company. And that's why people are looking for it, because they think there's a lot of growth in the future, right? You look at its PE ratio, it is a negative PE ratio right now from price to earnings perspective. Let's dive into the chart now, okay? And we're looking at our daily time frame here. And so we spoke about this demand zone. We were really looking to see what was going to happen. We had this triangle pattern here forming. Price was consolidating and squeezing in here. We broke down, and I gave there was really two key demand zones, right? We had this demand zone recently, established in December, and then we had this demand zone back from May that we tested a couple times previously, and you see we came down exactly right there to the bottom of that demand zone. And I mentioned, with this structure that we had, this triangle structure here, that, they could go two ways, right? You could get a breakdown, retest, push lower, okay? Or you could potentially get a look below and fail, right? Which is exactly what we got. Now, the reason a look below and fail is significant is because at this point of the breakdown, when you come back up here and retest, this is the point for short sellers to really take control of the price action, show that they're in control, and push things down lower, right? If they fail, if they look below and sellers fail, what this is going to show is that bulls are actually in control of the price action, right? And the reason being is because the bears failed when given the opportunity. They did not take advantage of that opportunity. And it's going to be a bullish signal if you come back up into this range. And you can see we've been very bullish here. All right, we're actually holding right above this key level here of 282 from the last video. I mentioned that, we're going to be bullish if we can stay above 282. And we've been consolidating here very nicely, which is good to see. But ultimately, 282 is still that line in the sand for me, right? If we break that down below 282, we do have some other support levels here to, potentially test. But we need to be mindful of this blue box right here, which is a gap down. Now, this is the gap from its earnings report when it raged. All right. And these gaps, they do tend to fill a majority of the time, right? Now, this is clearly a runaway gap where, we gapped up, right? And then we ran away from the gap. So, that is more of a bullish signal. But this is something you need to be aware of, right? If you're buying up here at $3 and then we break 282 and we end up coming back down and filling this gap here at 240, and you're not paying attention or you don't have any alerts set, that's a pretty significant drop, right? 60 cents on a $3 stock is a pretty significant move to the downside, right? And so, you may end up panic selling or something when one day you look up and the stock's at 240 and you weren't prepared after buying in there at that $3 region. So just something that I want people to be mindful of from a technical analysis standpoint, really just showing lots of signs of strength on the breakout. I want to point out here this initial bearish divergence that we had, that we actually broke that trend line. If you don't know what a bearish divergence is, we have a high here, right? And then we have these highs here. So clearly the stock is making higher highs at this moment. But if you look at your RSI, we have a high here, and then we have these lower highs here. What this is, when the RSI is making lower highs and the price is making higher highs, that is simply a bearish divergence, okay? Remember, your RSI is your relative strength index. It's going to give you the relative strength of a stock at a given price, right? And, you see that after that bearish divergence, we had the strong move to the downside, We ended up forming a nice double bottom here, getting a nice little bounce, but we stayed below this year-to-date anchored VWAP, which is this purple line here. Now, we're trading above this purple line here. We're going to start to see this purple line start to curl up, and this is going to be a good sign too, right? The year-to-date anchored VWAP could end up correlating, and just depending if we continue going up or if we continue chopping and going sideways, this is going to start to curl up and get closer to our 269 and our 282 support levels, right? And that's going to help increase the chance of these levels being a strong support level, right? Now, when we look back at our RSI, we are currently overbought at the moment, okay? Above this dotted line here is the technical definition of overbought. Now, just because something is overbought does not mean that it can't go higher, okay? And it's not always a signal to short. A key example and a perfect example is what I just showed earlier here, where we were overbought, right? And then over here, we're overbought again. But look at what happened with the price. We actually went higher on the price, okay? We went from around 280 all the way up to about 320 on the price, even though we were in that overbought territory. So just because something is overbought doesn't mean that the stock has to crash necessarily, all right? But it does mean that the odds of a pullback are much more increased, right? And you typically wouldn't want to buy something at these overbought levels, okay? And really, to me, overbought is bullish, right? And the reason being is because, you're seeing lots of strength, right, on your RSI. And that's what we saw here. We saw lots of strength on the RSI here. When we hit these overbought levels, we had a correction, and then we actually pushed back up higher. Okay, so that's a potential scenario that we could end up seeing here on the chart for Nano Dimension. We may end up seeing a little bit of a pullback. We want to actually retest this bearish divergence trend line that we had. And so that would be a key signal for me. If we come down and retest this bearish divergence trend line, I want to see, do we get, some follow through and we go sideways or we go up? Or do we break through here and head down? If we break through this trend line, that's going to be pretty significant and show that we could be potentially heading for that gap fill around 240, or potentially even trying to head lower to our previous demand zones we have established, on the chart. So that's the main things that I'm paying attention to right now. You could also look here for the MACD. If you see this cross down below the white line, all right, that is going to be a sell signal. Okay, we had a MACD sell signal over here, strong move to the downside, MACD sell signal over here, strong move to the downside. And this is something that you want to watch out for. Okay, so look at your MACD, look at your RSI, and also look at this 282 price level right here. These are the key things that I'm watching. If we can continue upwards momentum, 322 is our previous highs that we established right over here. We want to see if we can take out these highs or if we end up putting in a double top at this area. That's definitely a scenario. All right. But let's say we do something like this, right? And we put in a little bit of a double top and we start to pull back. That could be the start of a cup and handle, right? And that would be really interesting to see. So, I'm not really trading NNDM at these levels due to the overbought conditions. But, if we do continue to push higher and we start to form a cup and handle, that would be really interesting to me. If we start to break down below 282, that'll also be interesting. We could end up trying to get that gap fill here. Lots of things to be said about NNDM, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Hey, remember, you can always email me at ZachlyTrades@gmail.com for a personal session. If you want to do a one-on-one personal session, all right, we can work on scheduling a time together. And don't forget to use today's sponsor, Simply Wall Street, via that link in the description or the pinned comment down below. You guys will get a 14-day free trial. Look up NNDM, look up some of your favorite stocks, and you'll be really impressed with the platform. All right. And if you choose to purchase the membership, you will also get 40% off for the first 100 people that join. So, man, it's really affordable. It's a really good platform, and I've used them for a while. I'm glad to have them as a sponsor.